What the fuck is up, gamers? Apologies for the hiatus. I was busy doing anything the fuck else. So, it is episode number 5 of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, the Grand Ace Attorney Adventure. And I seem to have made a little whoopsie daisy, bro. Because what I was supposed to do is have the walkthrough open. She lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant. So we press... Motherfucker, dude! I have to click to get back onto it. But then, clicking, like, fucks it up. I should have pressed the button that goes back. Motherfucker.
Hold it! Hold it!
My voice is a little shot, even though I haven't recorded anything in a while.
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant. Suzeki-san, is that really true?
Fuck, dude, I was like screaming and shit. For no reason, mind you.
It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, with the student girl standing on the far side of her. And when I asked who did this to you, the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut. Which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who stands accused today.
I guess. Makes sense to me.
No.
Suzeki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But fiddlesticks, I say! This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. Yes, of course. The Englishwoman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps he was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly, in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. Somewhere to the back of the hut, where nobody was standing at all.
You mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear?
Yes, that's it, unclear. I'm very, very unclear.
Objection! Objection! Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because as the court can see, there was no one other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime.
I am inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial.
No! No!
The headline's writing itself. Dashing Lawyer's Hopes Dash. 92 point across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition.
This is a serious blow, Susanoo. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling, and the trial will be over!
But that's impossible, Father! We don't even know how the crime was committed yet!
Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need.
Ray gave us her account of how the events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed.
The Englishwoman was sitting in the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back.
How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Somewhere amid all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question.
I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add.
So the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. I can't say I'm surprised.
In that case, I am ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter.
This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over! Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim?
I know how.
Objection!
I don't, but Susato knows. I'm gonna trust her on this one.
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being.
Oh? To what end, counsel?
The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with a dying gesture.
Objection! An alternative theory? Ha! None exists!
Objection! There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime.
What?
And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time by mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction.
This is fiction! Fantasy!
Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, counsel, I am prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryutaro Naruhodo,
Yes, Your Excellency.
you will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed?
So it's here, is what they're saying. It's here, outside.
Naruhodo-san would never give up, and I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett was concealed in this location here.
Are you mad, counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut?
What?
Yeah, fuck him. Kill him.
Order!
But Student Lawyer Naruhodo's not a squire. That makes no sense at all. You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about. I can swear to that.
Obviously. If the culprit had been outside the hut, there's no way he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut.
Actually, Prosecutor Aoji, there is a way. And, in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed.
You're bluffing! You're bluffing, you idiot!
The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You will need to give us more guidance, counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut?
Crime scene photograph? The first crime scene photograph? Oh, and then we, okay, I see what we have to do here.
Take that!
No, the original photographic print of the crime scene.
Yes, it's clearly visible in the print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Objection! Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing!
I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to.
Counsel, once again I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where on this photograph is the trace of the stabbing which you claim took place from outside the hut?
Yeah, I didn't even fucking pick up on this, dude. It's that. The fucking slit in the hut.
Take that! Look closely just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds.
No! I can't! I can't see any such thing!
It's true that the huts in question had 4 walls as you'd expect. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them.
This is extraordinary!
Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut.
Ah!
And of everyone present at the scene, there's only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right-hand minute memo-san! It could only have been you!
Objection! This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless! Just look at the photograph again! The victim victim lies almost in the exact center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume, as part of this farcical scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower?
Objection. No, of course not.
We're not!
If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death.
Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable.
A stool?
Have another look at the photograph. The slit in the read screen would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool.
My word! So, in fact, the victim was...
Killed while sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the read screen. Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively. But then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut, before the defendant, Membami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day! By your silence, Menememo-san, I take it you don't deny the charge.
This is absurd!
That will do! It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Membami-san, is innocent of the crime.
Oh, thank goodness! I finally made him cave! Also, I'm looking at the walkthrough. Nah.
I must say, I've never been more proud.
No! This can't be! The Aochi clan can't! What of my growth? My growth of hope! It wasn't all an apparition! I can't accept this! I won't!
I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my final verdict and...
Hold it! Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in the mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals.
But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut, through the read screen walls.
And no one but you was in place at the time to have this hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction.
So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now.
Irrelevant?
Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, this trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. You're trying to say it's the poison?
What are you talking about?
Brace yourself, little man! I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed! Because of the dirt you dug up!
What?
Enough obscurity! Explain yourself, witness!
What's to explain?
I'm talking about the poison, of course!
Poison?
Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that a deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right?
That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used.
I see. So presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed?
Huh!
Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood.
How refreshing interesting to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely! It matters not a jot who stabbed whom and whose back and with whose blade. Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by poison.
Objection. But that can be explained by the poison being on the blade, isn't it already?
Objection! Forgotten already, have we, yokel? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever!
Oh. So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turn out to be a headline-making red herring.
Is that about right?
Well...
Order! But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There's an undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it.
You mean she drank it?
Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see,
I knew it was the fucking wine bottle, dude. I knew it.
a bottle of carbonated water and a glass had been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have been slipped into either.
So somebody made Miss Brett drink it.
Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This'll make a great front page shot.
Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already.
Hold it. Established? What are you talking about?
Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you!
Me? What on earth does he mean?
Oh, let me capture those wide eyes! This is blind press fodder, this is! It would seem that this trial is not destined to end yet after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great, that is! Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard, Your Excellency! You claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a journo and a man. I've never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. And I'm not about to start now! Because that's minimalism!
For a brief moment, I thought I'd illuminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where is this trial going to take us?
I was getting a little fucking crazy, bro. Complete innocence. Oh yes, I stabbed the English woman. It is that very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I bother to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. So if the courts weren't gonna punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. Way to give a fucking motive, idiot.
So, you admit it then? That everything happened as I described? That you were the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the read screen?
You can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. And that's why I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back. I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. As someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told, I feel really, really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. That's right, you guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart. We're just gonna check the court record real quick. Just gonna give a quick little check here. Just gonna give a quick little check here and see that. Jesus Christ! 38? Ah, that's crazy. That's wild.
You're implicating Ray again?
She's the one who gave the poison to the English woman and ended a pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap! This journo here is off the hook.
The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison himself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical.
And therefore, this reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical.
That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last!
This is unbelievable! And after I made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he going to get away with it now? Think of Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stop looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel.
Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial.
Yes, Your Excellency!
Alright, bro, let's get it. Let's get it. So we need to press the third statement.
Hold it! What exactly were they arguing about?
About what happened in that restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. The student girl was laying into the English woman for killing a beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson.
Yes, John H. Wilson. A professor of medicine, invited here from England by Professor Miko Toba, no less.
Right, but the English woman just jeered.
Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai. However, there's little doubt she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman.
It was eating that student girl up inside. You could see it. I really felt for her.
Hold it! I can't! I can't stand here and listen to this tripe! Ray!
Young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it.
No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen.
But this awful man is making all of this up! Susanoo, please, you have to make them listen!
Return to the dock at once, Membami-san. We are in the middle of a cross-examination.
Hold on! Your Excellency, please, I implore you! That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness!
Exactly! He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, creep-peeping Tom!
Whoa! Take it easy there.
Please! I really think the court should hear about what the defendant has to say!
Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks.
I will grant the request of the defense.
But, Your Excellency!
This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to strife the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
Oh! Thank you so very much, Your Excellency! It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson! We were discussing the stolen poison!
Huh.
Hold it! Hold on. The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean?
I suspected her of being the one to steal it! I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson!
That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had the knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult.
That's true. I pestered Professor Miko Toba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail.
Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we've been developing, you see. and since Sazeki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away, other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance.
I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with a deadly poison.
I wanted to look my old enemy in the eye! Surely you can understand that!
To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government even. It would be a complete disaster.
And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns?
She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually.
Yes. Minamemo-san, one small question if you don't mind.
I don't mind! Can't you see I'm busy?
Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you'd heard. Exclusive! Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of Shoyo News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else.
Sorry. Don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, look at this! The entire article! It's almost exactly what I said to Miss Brett, word for word!
Ah!
Well, Minamemo-san?
As a journo, and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle of Metamemoism.
Father's clearly right about this. The reporter did write that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut.
So that's what it was all about! You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in! That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her!
Shut up! My stories never stink! Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I want it to go on record.
Very well, you may amend your formal testimony.
The point is, if you poison someone, there'd be no reason to then go and stab the person as well. Hold on. So then, on statement 2 or statement 5. Oh, okay, so he presents.
Objection!
That there.
Well, I can think of one reason.
What?
But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information from this newspaper from what you overheard outside the hut?
Of course I did! There can be no question of that! After all, we were all in the laboratory together. All we were told is it's a terrible toxin!
And there's one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Membami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Objection! Where are you going with this, counsel?
Minamemo-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it.
Ah!
Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison whilst the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put.
When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison!
At which point, Minamemo-san overheard some worrying information.
Worrying information? What worrying information?
The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article, namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy, and that it couldn't be readily obtained.
Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab.
And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death.
The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable.
In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people.
Ah! Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Membami-san is no exception.
Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson, unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you! Ray 10-minute memo! It was you who saw the poison from the laboratory that day, and it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake.
Because the poison caused such unusual symptoms, and it was so traceable.
As you listened from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learnt of these facts. But you'd already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. So you had to plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the reed screen.
But what good could that possibly do?
Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect.
Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction, but he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that could happen, hadn't he?
Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of his new secret poison's use, no one would have ever suspected.
This is extraordinary!
Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use, which he attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back.
Order! The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward?
Well, there are a number of... yes! I counter completely!
Objection! The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way that he nurtures the remnants of his top knots, he is clinging to lost hope!
Lost hope!
We're gonna do just as long as this takes, because I haven't been uploading for a while.
Hold it! You pathetic, useless, fallen samurai!
Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My burgeoning...
I don't need a counter-argument!
What are you talking about?
It should be blatantly obvious! I stole the poison, you say? Gave it to the victim, you say? Stabbed it, you say? Lots of fine theories! But I don't need a counter-argument! Cause you don't have an argument yourself! Where's your evidence? Yeah, you make it all sound so plausible, don't ya? But without evidence, it means nothing! Whereas I base my news on facts! Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. I mean, what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here, in my many memos! Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted! That's what the Shoujo News is famous for! It's the power of the printed word! But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. How's that then? Blown the story wide open! See? I, Ray 10-minute memo, a mere reporter from the Shoujo News! Couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory!
But there can't be any question of it! He must have stolen the poison that day! He stole it and used it to kill! And if that's the case, as you've identified, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here.
What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin?
My point is, there's one way that you, Menememo-san, could have stolen the poison that day.
I have heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the court must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on the day in question?
Okay, so examine the middle of the fountain pen 3 times. This is why I use a fucking walkthrough. This is why. Examine the middle of the fountain pen 3 times. Who the fuck would think to do that? Are you shitting me? Who the fuck is doing that?
This must be the little reservoir that holds the ink.
Yes, you fill it by drawing ink from a bottle up through the nib.
Is something wrong, Father?
Just that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all.
Oh yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose.
I hate this. Alright, motherfucker. Examine the middle of the fountain pen 3 times and present the fountain pen as the source where the poison originated.
The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen.
Ah! The fountain pen? How can that possibly be relevant?
These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago.
I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else! These newfangled pens are merely a fad!
Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, I obviously love my fountain pen. Suck up a soup cone of subterraneous ink, and one's work is awash with words in the blink of an eye!
That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later.
What does all this talking of sucking up ink Ah!
And just as it's possible to suck up ink into the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course.
My word! Can this really be?
Well, Menememo-san? When you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib and into the pen's reservoir.
Yeah!
Objection! More absurdity! That never happened!
True, we've heard that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places?
No, I'm a little ashamed to say that for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say.
I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped by someone. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped?
Oh, are you suggesting?
The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into her glass.
There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down details of the conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hands.
Objection! No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink?
What?
As As you can see for yourself if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen? No! The pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass.
Witness! What do you have to say in your defense? So this is how our modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink in my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps? I can always claw my way back into the game. I have plenty in reserve. Ah!
What was that?
You claim I sucked the poison up into my pen? That's wild speculation, nothing more! If you thought you could bring down a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again!
It looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, the situation now is very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And therefore, it all depends on whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence.
Ha! No such evidence could possibly exist!
Minimemo-san, this is how our modern justice system works.
What?
In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we are all past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you!
Very well then, I call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence.
This is it then. This will be the final piece in the puzzle. The defense can prove by means of this item that it was the witness's pen that was used to steal the poison. Take that!
Counsel, what is that bottle?
This bottle contains the unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question.
Yes, that poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method.
Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison.
A reagent? What?
One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Minimemo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt!
No, you can't! I won't!
Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat.
Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once!
This isn't my fault! The Empire drove me to this, trying to hold its head high as a civilized nation, but bowing its head to foreign nations. I took up arms to the foes of the mightiest, all in the name of justice and righteousness.
Susanoo, with me!
I'm there!
Hi-ya! Did I do it right? That was a Susanoo takedown, wasn't it?
Not quite. That was a Ryutaro takedown.
Yeah, what? What the hell?
The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present.
When I saw it there in the lab, the poison, the devil got hold of me and I decided to do it on a whim. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the drain in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully.
Why? I didn't want to get ink in her because it's icky. But the poison did murder her. Okay, whatever.
And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen.
Yeah, that's right.
Answer me one thing, Minimemo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose?
Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made of and exposed in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass up.
Then why did the English woman end up dead?
I went into that hut intending to quiz her on the situation, that's all. As a reporter. A known killer, enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. Then she just laughed in my face! Oh god.
Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism. Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian!
What did you call me?
This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press, it's really depressing. You see our superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf! Get out and crawl back to the cave you came from.
Ah! That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. Oh, that's why he cleaned it. Okay, because he was gonna research it. I just put that together.
What a terrible tale.
In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible. But I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done, when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journal spirit getting all fired up. Shit.
I'd like to ask you something.
Yeah.
You often talk about justice. But surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought.
There's no justice in the press.
Sorry.
After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what happened in that courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up! That's what it was!
A cover-up? What do you mean?
I would remind you of your position, witness! Be careful of what you say!
Oh, come on! Doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national? Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it! And yet that puffed-up English woman was going to sail away into the sunset a free woman! The only possible explanation is that, behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan!
What sort of deal?
I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt. It was ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up!
He came under pressure from the government, you mean?
If our government is going to let criminals walk free, if they're going to crush the free press, then what choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself?
Let's not forget, Menememo-san, that you committed murder yourself and you tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett.
What?
The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all.
I suppose. I don't really like the takeaway there. Okay.
It would appear that we've reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Oh, yes, sorry, Your Excellency. Just musing in a manly way over here.
It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience with the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits.
Oh, Naruhodo, Ryunosuke, you mean?
The way he handled the trial 9 months ago and the way you handled this one. It gives me hope that we're genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land.
That's very flattering, Your Excellency.
Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly
that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries.
Thank you.
So, Prosecutor Aochi, do you have any final thoughts?
Is he gonna fucking kill himself? What is that? What is it?
Prosecutor Aochi!
I, Takatsuki of the Aochi clan, have been bested by a Kalo youth not once now, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it is withered and died here today.
Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it?
Silence! Rather than living on in shame,
I was kidding. No way.
I will end it all now with this blade. For that is the true path to Aochiism!
Aochiism?
One hopes that's the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness.
He's gonna cut his fucking top knot. There's no way he kills himself.
Speak of my top knot! The time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Takatsuki. Takatsuki.
Fucking stupid. So dumb. This fucking dork. Look at all of them. Oh my god. I fucking can't, dude. The fuck is he? Why is he still wearing that? It's like the next day. This is ridiculous.
Now, in regard to the defendant, Rei Membami-san,
Yes, Your Excellency.
I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you not guilty!
Alright, alright. Woo, look at the little flower petals. Woo, woo. Woo. Pretty cute.
Court is adjourned!
Alright. Good shit. Okay, so there's like a whole fucking what really happened. So it begins with the trial of Giselle Brett 9 months prior. Despite being found guilty of killing visitor Professor John Wilson, she was allowed to roam mostly free with only some minor supervision to ensure she wouldn't attempt anything else. She was about to depart for Shanghai to be tried in a British court where she would most likely not see any real jail time. Before that, she asked if she'd be allowed to visit a beach, which the government allowed with the condition of a detective accompany her. On the day of the incident, an interview was conducted featuring medical school professional... Okay, so on the day of the incident, an interview was conducted featuring Miko Toba and Soseki. Also present was Menamemo, who took a photograph. During the interview, Giselle Brett put Miko Toba on the spot by mentioning the new secret poison he was forced to mention as highly deadly. Menamemo was infuriated by Miss Brett, saw an opportunity after its mentioning. He emptied his favorite fountain pen, drew some of the poison. Not long after, Rei Membami, assistant to Eugene, realized the poison was missing. She immediately suspected that Giselle Brett had taken it, and so took Miko Toba's place on the trip. Along with them, Soseki, Hosonaga, and unbeknownst to all, Menamemo. As they arrived, Menamemo went to go poison Giselle Brett, slipping into her glass when she wasn't looking, under the guise of an interview. He left soon after. Rei Membami entered not long after, accusing her of stealing the poison. During the yelling match, Rei-ten learned exactly what the poison would do and realized it would essentially make his guilt no guarantee. Taking matters into his own hands, he plunged a knife through the back of the tent, which both women were in, stabbing Miss Brett in the back. Miss Brett stood immediately collapsed, clutching the pen of Rei-ten Menamemo, which he had dropped after using the poison. Rei screamed but recognized the poison was taking effect due to Miss Brett's symptoms, pulled the knife out believing it to be poisoned. Mr. Menamemo took a photograph of this scene and secretly sent it to the police, not realizing the scratched camera lens would give him away. Mr. Hosonaga and Mr. Natsume came upon the crime scene, immediately believed Rei to be guilty. As Mr. Hosonaga went for help, Natsume asked who the culprit is. Giselle used her last strength to point towards a small open sector of the reed as Rei had been arrested. To complete the picture, Menamemo worked on a shoujo newspaper with the picture of Yuji and Natsume with a scratch as well, and on the back is the story about how the stolen poison was given to Natsume, and this explains why none of the other newspapers have that story. Okay. Good shit.
It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Lawyers have such great responsibility, such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san?
Susanoo! Thank you so much! You were so dashing in there! Ray and Father! Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you've... Oh no, I think I'm going to cry!
It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end there, too.
The only reason I'm still here is because of you!
Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Ray. So I would have to say that the congratulations belong to you.
Susanoo, don't be so standoffish!
Sorry.
We're friends, equals, and the trial's over, so no more of this formal, super humility nonsense! It's time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind!
Caution to the... what?
I'm the great defense lawyer, Ryutaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow!
Why is she trying to go on a date with us?
Or something.
Right, I see. I'll, think about it, Ray.
At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man, and it felt so good!
Yes, it was satisfying.
It really was! Isn't there anybody else we could throw together?
I hope you're not looking at me, Ray.
Oh my goodness! No, of course not! Of course not!
There it is, at least. Ray's lovely smile.
You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you, defense attorney Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryutaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Mikotoba now.
So, I'll never see him again then? What a terrible shame!
Who the fuck is this?
What? What is happening?
Ah, Soseki-san and Inspector Hosonaga. I do hope you've been keeping well.
Is that really you?
Yes, I had to change my appearance for obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me, Susato Mikotoba.
Don't!
So dashing!
So dashing! So divine! No! Doubly dashing! Yes, and devilishly divine! Just look at you! I had no idea, Miss Susato-san Esquires, that you were Lucum student or Hina-san Esquire's cousin! Astonishingly astounding ace attorney!
Oh, Soseki-san, so confused.
Yeah, I remember him. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Suzeki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author.
I'm stunned! That's a truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea, and I'm the chief inspector of the police bureau. Who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less? I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see.
Just two, really. And this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope. Oh, I'm not to patch on you, though, Inspector.
Well, I am a professional, of course.
So what, he's like dying or some shit? I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes, I really do. 9 months ago when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify. He was undercover, disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant.
and then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Though that didn't help you, did it, Kazuma-sama?
From my perspective, I have to admit I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth has been lost forever.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the murder that the Englishwoman committed at the end of last year.
Ah, yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it.
Dr. John H. Wilson, yes. The man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer.
On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter. With Mr. Herlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean.
Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course.
Ah, my arch nemesis! How lightly you utter his name.
Well, according to the stories published about him in The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes. A best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson.
What? Dr. Wilson?
I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again.
Their voices are going to be a pain in the ass, by the way.
As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born.
Yes, grandmother told me about it.
On returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial Yume University. But I also serve another role, as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs.
Yes, I was aware of that as well.
In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you.
Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from London, or from Japan. It said that you'd collapsed with a high fever, and you were growing weaker by the day.
What? Where did that news come from?
That's what I'd like to know, because after that long sea voyage I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way, or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of.
Dear me, do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susanoo? I'm sorry, my dear. I simply can't—
Let me go!
Memo-san!
So, one girl wasn't enough for you?
I've got one last thing to say before they take me away, Professor!
Me?
I know the truth! I know you had a hand in what went on! In that visiting student's fate!
Visiting student? Giselle Bretz, you mean?
No, not her! The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago!
What? Student of law? He must mean Kazuma-sama! What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama?
Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it! They don't know that the guy never made it to England! That he died on that steamship! And that he'll never— What the fuck?!
Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. What were you officers playing at?
Terribly sorry, Your Excellency! What the fuck was that?!
I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw had arrived, Eugene. And it's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him. And I'll be there shortly.
Oh, Your Excellency.
The trial's over. I'm not your excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Seishiro Jigoku.
That's why I fucking one-tapped him.
And I must say, since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance, Susanoo.
Did you know all along, from the start of the trial?
A judge sees everything, Susato. I couldn't let you take the risk if Seishiro here hadn't known and then he'd recognized you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Seishiro, shall we? Yes! Having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address.
Before you go, Father!
Sorry, my dear. We shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably.
Oh, thank you very much!
What did you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that.
Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Giselle Brett? About Dr. Wilson? And now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with Father sometime, when nobody else is around.
Judicial Assistant Migatomo-san Esquires, could I have a word?
Oh, yes, of course, Uzeki-san. What is it?
I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you.
Oh?
I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England.
This I have to hear! Please, Uzeki-san, tell me at once!
I will! As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Migotoma! He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report.
My father?
He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent a telegram to you asking you to return to Japan.
What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in?
I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those two terrible cases I was caught up in?
Of course, I can never forget.
Father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case.
The second one? You mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public? Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first.
Well, I don't care! I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says! Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. That horrific, hideous, heinous case! The case of the haunted lodgings.
I do not remember what that case is, TBH.
That case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan. I thought that whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told.
It's more likely, because this game hasn't even fucking started yet. TBH, bro. TBH, bro.
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived.
I want you to know, I just looked at who the fuck the victim is in the next case.
It makes me long to see you again.
Fucking hell, dude.
Yours.
I won't spoil it. I won't spoil it, but Fucking hell, dude. This is so funny. Jesus Christ. So this is this is the second case. Literally is what I'm guessing here. This is the one that we weren't allowed to talk about. So let's go ahead and save the game. Let's go ahead and save the game. For now, I'm going to end the episode, so we've been here for long enough. I've made up for all my lost time. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!